Conor Benn returns to the ring this weekend, Simon, not in the UK. It's over in the United States, and we all know what happened with him. Due to fight Chris's son, Chris Eubank Jr., failed a drugs test, and then that fight never happened, and he hasn't fought since here in the UK. But his comeback is on. He has fought once in the US. He's going to fight again in the US against a man called Peter Dobson. Eddie Hearn was talking on Drive about Ben's upcoming fight, but also about the UK situation as to where he can and cannot fight.
So obviously he's had those two hearings, one with the WBC that he was successful in and won, cleared his name. Then he had the the hearing with UKAD, the British Boxing Board of Control, which he won, and then they lifted his suspension. And then the British Boxing Board of Control decided to appeal. Obviously that was back in, I think, August or September. We now have finally an appeal date of February, I think in a couple of weeks' time. And hopefully, as we're being told, that'll be the end of the situation. He'll win that appeal and move forward. And, you know, it's frustrating. Conor Benn can fight anywhere in the world right now, but just not in Britain under the British Boxing Board of Control. But listen, we want him to fight in the UK because when you look at the big fights right now that are migrating, particularly to the Middle East, we have an opportunity with Conor Benn to make stadium fights with the likes of Kell Brook and particularly Chris Eubank and Liam Smith. And, you know, he's going to be flying that flag for a long time. And hopefully it can all get resolved in February and we can return to normal after, you know, it's been nearly 2 years this has been going. It's unbelievable. So, but he's focused on headlining out here on Saturday.
It's interesting, Simon. I mean, the standout line for me there from Eddie Hearn is he can fight anywhere he likes, anywhere in the UK, just not here. Anywhere in the world, just not here in the UK. And that, to me, is the standout. That's a significant line.
But that's the reality of the route that they chose to take. And again, we make these points, and it's not because, you know, I sat down with Conor just before Christmas and had a long conversation with him, and I'm pretty sure he'll come in the studio when he comes back from Las Vegas and have his own view, which I've allowed him to do and not repeat the conversation that he had. But you can't keep trotting out this tripe that he's been cleared. You know, people forget that the WBC provided Conor Benn with a defence.
Yeah.
That wasn't their job. And they forget that predominantly the reasons why Conor had the ban that the British Boxing or UKAD put on him lifted was because he used a jurisdictional issue about the UKAD being able to be the assessor of the tests that he's had. Now, I'm always of the mindset that I want Conor to clear himself. And we've had people in here that suggest to us that they've got comprehensive and conclusive medical evidence that proves the metabolites in his system can only have been brought in by food ingestion. So I would suspect that dynamic is the one that needs to be played out. Now, we did speak to Robert Smith, and Robert Smith said the appeal that they put on, and I'm not surprised they put an appeal on, because what's the point of a governing body if you've got no jurisdiction? If VADA and any other governing body, any other testing agency can just supersede the principles of drug testing in this country by the very nature of the fact that he failed 2 drug tests, and there may well be reasons. Most people in boxing don't think there are, but the current arguments that Eddie wants to advance are not valid. And Conor needs to get him. Now, the appeal was being told to be heard in January.
Yeah.
I hope, like most of us do, that he goes in February and clears his name. And, and that will be because Conor has now taken... I think Conor knows himself that he's taken the wrong directions. That standing on the Piers Morgan show, whilst great for Piers, wasn't great for him.
No, sure.
And taking particular positions.
And I know you went out and you had some time with him on your own, and you gleaned a bit more information from Conor directly. So are we ever going to see Conor Benn fight back here in the UK? And are we ever going to see Conor Benn fight Chris Eubank Jr., the original fight that was planned before the failed drug test and was then kicked into touch?